So when it comes to developing your leadership style, um, first off, I would say find your community or a community you can serve, right? Because there is no leadership without community. For me, this was IFSA. I joined as an undergrad student when I was studying at the School of Forestry in Seattle. And it was always because I was interested in the global perspective. And I was really interested in the policy elements. Like, what is the big picture that we're talking about that can really influence decision-making and that influence kind of the outcomes that we're seeing? So I'm very excited for all of you who are joining to talk about the important role of policy. We need more young people here. We need more diverse perspectives. And we need people who can bring their perspectives and the experiences of the community into the room, into the decision-making room, into how people think about these issues, which can feel very far away. So I'll tell you, I joined IFSA at the local level. I remember, I think I was the vice president of like marketing. So we were just organizing local events. I had an opportunity to really practice with my communication skills, with what it looked like to organize an event. But I was still really craving an opportunity to engage at the policy level. So the second I had an opportunity to run for an IFSA position, I actually needed a lot of encouragement, but I had good friends who told me, you should do it, jump into this challenge. So that was my first experience in the policy realm of organizing young people and our perspectives coming into the UN Forum on Forest, for example. And you'll feel generally that when you're scared or terrified, that's a good thing. You're probably in a good place. It means you're stretching yourself, you're challenging yourself. So I remember feeling that way in preparation for the UN events, as you're reading these really lengthy documents and thinking, in all this policy, where are people? What can I offer and bring to the table? And I'd encourage every one of you to not, how do I say this? To not shrink in spaces of power. It's something that is so natural for us as young people to think that, we don't have something of value we can bring to the table. If you have embedded yourself in your community, if you have experience serving and practicing and bringing their perspectives into the room, you have something valuable to bring to the table. So definitely do not shrink in spaces of power. I constantly remind myself this everywhere that I go. But again, there's that moment of fear. And here I am as, the representative for the IFSA International Processes Commission. And I need to make a statement in front of the UN on this, the UN Strategic Plan on Forests. And it was a really exciting adventure to figure out, how do I do that? What is the content that we need to bring in? But also beyond the content, how do you deliver that message in a way that's going to resonate with different stakeholders in the room? And then how are you, as the representative, going to build relationships that help you advance your cause, that help you serve your community better? And so that one piece of advice would be to find your community where you can volunteer, where you have a safe space to practice, where you can work with different individuals, learn how to kind of figure out what your strengths are. And the second piece of advice I'd say is experimentation. You have to experiment. No matter what stage you are in your career, I would recommend that you map out 3 versions of your future, 3 potential careers you can experiment with, whether that's finance, communication, and research. Maybe you know yourself and it's actually going to be research within, 3 different fields. But give yourself the opportunity to experiment and to not decide so quickly, this is the person I'm going to be and these are the skills I want to build. So once you've mapped out, maybe 2 credible pathways and one that's a little crazy or a little off, you have an opportunity to talk to different individuals. And that's going to happen for you today and tomorrow as we go through this experience. But realize, you've got these 3 pathways and what key questions do you have in each of them? For me, I've been thinking a lot about the private sector, for example. What does their leadership look like in this issue? What are the limits to their own leadership and the impact that they can have? how do private and public partnerships work when it comes to forestry and community-led projects? So I have these questions at the back of my mind, and as I go about and as I learn and as I meet new people, I'm able to kind of bring those questions to the conversation so that I can learn a little bit more about, do I have a role here? Can my leadership show up in this space? So having those concrete 3 options to experiment with, to begin practicing with, it gives you an opportunity to learn more about your strengths, but also to remain open. The way the world works right now and the place that we're in, it is really valuable for you to learn a variety of different skills, to become proficient in different languages, in different sectors of being a bridge. So by remaining open to experiment, 1, you take the pressure off yourself, but you also are able to really build skills in a new arena that provide value to many different people. So it's an opportunity also for you to start to create value for yourself as you walk into different rooms and bring new perspectives to the table as a broker, as someone who's a connector.